Welcome to Stacks Month, which is what this month will be if all these releases come out on time. This is the Woo Wee. I know, let's all make fun of the name. The Woo Wee. You get it? I don't know. Mel Brooks, I'm sure, has a joke from High Anxiety about the Woo Woo and the Woo Wee. This is an energizer for electrostatics. Alright, you see electrostatic headphones, ear speakers. Gotta put money in the jar now. And yes, it could power my stacks just fine. Flip that to stacks. Lower that a bit. This is the Michael Jackson Mega Mix, by the way. It's only 5 minutes long, but it's amazing. Now, what is it? What the hell is going on, and why can I switch the speakers? Why is my desk filled again? Why is my desk always filled for these reviews? Well, this isn't an electrostatic energizer amplifier on its own. See, it leaves out that last bit, the amplifier bit. You need to, and I'll have to get up and around and to the back, you need to feed it 110, pick your voltage if you're 110 or 220. Then you have, ignore these top ones, but the bottom ones are inputs that come from a speaker amp, and this will convert through a series of large transformers a speaker amp's outputs, which requires at least 3 watts, by the way. It'll bring it in, do things to it, and then power electrostatic headphones with it. These, by the way, this whole unit weighs 14 pounds, which is quite a bit. And I took the cover off, and it's nice. Here, let's get down and look at the prettiness of that. Now, because it needs a speaker amp to drive it, and therefore to drive electrostatics, they give you the option to switch to from powering your electrostats with a little delicate orange LED on the top of that, which is cool, to outputting straight to speakers. Why am I not hearing that? Because I have the preamp down. It's just Michael Jackson now, forever. So it's pretty basic. It's just got things going on that, well, most don't understand. Before you post it in the comments, there was some controversy with this unit where somebody else who makes electrostatic amplifiers claimed that this was going to do bad things to your electrostatics. That was 2012. He was the only one that said it, and he also said that he repaired a couple of them, and then people were having a freak out. And I asked Jack, I was like, hey, what about this? He's like, no one's ever come to me with a complaint. So if you're going to post about that emergency controversy, because I unboxed this on my other channel. I have an original channel that I moved out of to do reviews, but I'll still post random stuff there. So if you want to check out the unboxing of this and all the comments and this, how people fighting about how, well, this is going to melt your stacks, they're going to turn into a puddle of garbage, you can go and do the research on it and see if anyone else has said anything ever about that. The Woo Wee, 14 pounds, $500. Now that's, see, here's the thing. These are the L700 stacks, and I'm probably going to buy a set because they need to be owned. However, my little 252S over there, which I'm using from, which I got with my original stacks, which are these, which are now the 207 Ultras, because I decided to put the word Ultra at the end. It's good. It plays a stack. You enter the world of electrostatics with that, and you're there. The problem was when someone sent me the L700s and 500s, they came with those, which are the 353X and the SRM1 Mark II. And those will both get a review. Not going to include it with this. I've also got the Woo GES tube one. Those are all going to get talked about. And the point of the fact and the why that I'm interested in this is when I went from that to that with mine, I noticed a difference. And that's the... Zeos hates that. You should hate that. You should think, oh, no, that's perfectly fine, and, you know, that's all I ever need. And it would be if I was never upgrading from the Ultras. But when I'm going to the 700s in a bit, and those are going to be part of my life, I really want something better than that to power it with. And that's $1,100. And I'm just like, if I spend $1,300 on a set of ear speakers and another 11, blow my brains out. I'm cheap ass. Dio started as a cheap ass. He's still a cheap ass. He just has to buy more expensive things, even though they're only slightly cheap to some people. So this being $500, that's less than half price of that. And can sound as good. Now here's where we get into the actual meat of the situation. You feed an amplifier into this, it converts it into electrostatic energy, and then you can play your ear speakers, and you can switch to speakers, and that's great. I've run every amplifier I own through this, and the quality that you get from your ear speakers varies greatly, and that's the point. That's what I needed to know. That's why when he said, when I said, can I borrow this, that was for this test. So I started out, what did I actually start out with? I think I started with the SA50. I grabbed the SA50 because I have one. It's relatively cheap. It's a TM 50 watts per channel. This only requires 3. And so this could be, I thought that maybe this would be like, that's it, I'm done. You know, 80 bucks, 500 bucks, 580 bucks, done. And while it worked, the problem was that when you, here's the thing, there's no volume on this. You control the volume output of this through your ear speakers, through the amp, or through a preamp like the shit Sis here, or Questel loaned me the CMA 800P, which you've got a preamp like that. Why the hell are you not using it for everything? I'm going to use it for this. But you're supposed to use the speaker amp's volume. So the problem with the SA50 is it's so powerful. Because here, let me demonstrate this. Back to stacks. Michael Jackson was also playing now. Alright, so that's playing. I could tell from now that that's like the volume the most I'd ever play the stacks. You hear how quiet that is? It's going back, it's like, and we'll get to also why I would almost never use this to switch to speakers, because that's loud, that's quiet. So you turn something up loud enough for speakers, you flip this switch, you flip that switch while that's up, and the stacks all of a sudden are getting like, they're getting no loud. So he recommends not switching to the speaker output if you don't have speakers hooked up, but I don't recommend hooking up speakers to this unless you're very careful. Because going from stacks where it's like, okay, you know, that's right. I could tell it's just that's the right volume for stacks, and I'm running both pair. The one or the other doesn't matter. But when you switch a speaker and it's low, it's like, then you got to turn this up. We all have all crossed. And that leaves 1 point of failure for you damaging stacks, not from any sort of internal misdesign, but from just going burr, and then just loud through those. So I highly recommend not pushing speakers with it, even though it's one of the features of it, and you can go, okay, I want to hear stacks, I want to hear speakers, that's great. That's a danger, Will Robinson. So back to how the amps sound. Started with the SA50. It was like, it was close to that. Like it was that. It was like, it was that, but I had to, like, that was the maximum volume I was allowed to push because of what I just described. Now I could have gone from DAC, and by the way, I'm using the Madi Multibit. The way this is set up right now, I'm going to bounce out of topic 7 times. Madi Multibit, Questel CMA 800P, going down to the XLS 1502 Crown amp, and then up to the Woo-Wee, and then out to the R5 BIRs. Awesome. And so you could just go your DAC to amp to Woo-Wee, done. If the volume control works, which this one is just, it's too touchy. So I'm like, all right, too touchy, and it didn't have the right sound quality. Let's try something crazy. So I went pure Zeos mode on this, and I went, I'm gonna dual mono block the Woo-Wee with the less powerful SA36s, and then I'll preamp that. And I was actually feeding these with my Jotunheim. So this was the preamp in that scenario where I had, this was the DAC and pre. So the RCA outputs were going one per speaker amp. Then I was able to get like right about there and adjust channel balance with just one or the other. And then it went into this. And then I would do, once those were set, I was able to control the volume of the two SA36s via this. And it was like, that's so cool. Didn't sound very good. You could smell and taste, and all your senses can pick up that this is a $50 T-amp, and when you put that through electrostats through one of these, it's just no. As cool as that would be to be like, oh, because I have these amps when I was building the boom boxes, and I'm just like, I had a pile of them. So no, they don't work. They don't work. The SA50, not enough control over the volume. You'd have to add a preamp like this. So all right, I asked Jack if I could try a headphone amplifier, because it needs 3 watts. To make all this go, you got to plug it into the wall. Remember to plug it into the wall, or you'll lose your mind. You got to feed it 3 watts per channel from a speaker amp. But wait. Jotunheim here, which by the way, that custom green line, if you send me your Jotunheim, I will apply that and send it back to you for $300. Only $300. The Jotunheim's balanced output, that does 7.5 watts at a certain ohm. 7.5 watts. So if I could just build an adapter to go from this to the speaker inputs, then I should be able to run this from this. And then I wouldn't need to add anything to my system, because it would just be DAC, headphone out, or stacks out. So I tried that, and the wires I built were shoddy, to say the least, and I was getting channel imbalance. But it did work. It did work. That is an option. You have a powerful enough, and it needs to be no joke. You don't want to have like, oh, I have a 3 watt per channel outputting headphone amp. I'll plug it into the Woo-Wee. No. Because then you're going to max the hell out of it to try to get it, and that's going to cause shit in, shit out is the thing. If you have to max out your amp, then it'll not be the best. And you want a little bit of room. So while this will work, I was having issues getting it. I might try again. I'm probably going to end up buying one of these, by the way, because of what we're getting to. We're getting to where I found the good sound. Excuse me, Yodi. The Jotun. So you could assume at any point, by the way, that this Quest style could be changed out with the shit Sys, or vice versa. Because that's, I'm sure, I actually don't know the final retail price of this, but I'm sure it's slightly higher than the Sys. So what did I try next? That. I had the phase linear out for the HE6 review. And on the HE6s, when I had this whole desk set up with that thing worked fine. That worked flawlessly to power, you know, the big the big planar headphones, and oh my god, oh yeah. When I hook that up, 200 watts per channel, to this, and I was again using a preamp to control it, because those are not volume knobs in the front, just like these are not volume knobs in this crown. I was getting a weird sound, like a rattle in one channel, and it's not in the amp. I know that because I had speakers hooked up, and then I had the HiFi still hooked up when I tested that, so I'm like, all right, it's not the amp, just that this did not play well with that. And I think the reason for that is when you have an amp like this or that or any of these, they expect a certain resistance, and you know, it's 8 ohms is like that, it's 8 ohms, or a speaker can be 6 ohms or 4 ohms, and this not being a speaker is sort of freaking out a couple amps. I was getting weird issues with the small ones. If I tried to push it loud, if I tried to push these to like where I would consider loud, they were literally going click and protection moding themselves, because this is not a speaker. It's not seeing this as a speaker. It's not presenting itself with a perfect 8 ohm load. I don't believe the little rubber feet left so many marks on there. That didn't care. This doesn't care. This will just explode everything. It does not care. The smaller ones, and we're going to get to that one, which is going to be my pick, which is the TX 101DA, they sort of care that it doesn't feel like a speaker. They're like, what am I doing? Don't push me too hard. Sound quality. Where was I? Sound quality in the Jotunheim, I can't really judge because I couldn't get channel balance right because my wires were crap. Those were way too sharp. This was just low enough quality that it wouldn't work. It was not worth it over my 252. That had weird buzzing in the right channel, so that amp didn't fly. The 2 amps that do fly in my collection. This brand new XLS 1502, which I bought to power the giant 15-inch sealed Dayton sub. But, you know, this Crown series, this 11-pound, this amp is like 700 watts a channel and weighs less than this converter, which won't make that sound once I put the screws back in. And that sounds good. That sounds legit. That sounds real close to the high-end stacks. The other thing that does is this, which I haven't had on my desk in a while because my desk doesn't support speakers now, although I could probably get them in there. So this is only 23 watts a channel. Built-in DAC, Bluetooth, optical, analog, up converting. I love this thing. I gave this thing an amazing review. And I don't think I ever appreciated how clean the speaker outs were until you run it from here into one of these and then into electrostatics, and you're just like, oh shit. That's how clean it is. So the hunt for the amp to work with the Woo-Wee, this is it. This is the one I've picked. They make a bigger one, a 60 watt per channel. Maybe I would recommend that. Here's how the volume dial works. It goes from infinity to 0, or 0.2 and then 0. And at 22, which is an arbitrary volume, that's as loud as I'd ever want to play the stacks, and it's fine. When I go past 20 to like near 17, if I'm pushing it that loud, this doesn't like that and will occasionally go clip, nope, flash the lights, say I'm doing something I don't want to do, and it has to be reset. Turn it off and on. So it still has that problem. This unit is still not a speaker, and it knows it. But I can get it to as loud as I would ever want to play stacks before that happens, which is perfect. Plus the volume knob is nice and I could actually use it, whereas the SA50 was just sort of like, and I'm done playing with mop. So forget all this other stuff that's happening. Just these two things are my pick for the Woo-Wee. Low power, super clean, built-in DAC. I got this, you can get them for like $250 right now with speakers if you just want to throw speakers on there. And it sounds, I have to really sit there and start swapping plugs with the 535X or the 353X, dyslexic much, to really tell you if that one has any sort of advantage over this one. Oh, the only thing that has really now is you could adjust the balance, which this has perfect balance. So this is my winning team. This is what this Woo-Wee was. I can't believe we're saying that name and not laughing anymore, right? Right? We got it out of our system. But you either got to go for something very clean and modern like this Crown XLS 1502, or the 1000 would probably do for like $300. So then it would still be 300 and 500, and then you need a preamp, and you could use this shit, you know, this right here, just use that as your volume knob, because. But then this is all in one. So this is going to probably be my, when I get the L700s, which is in the future. It's not right now, but in the future, when I have my own pair of L700s, this is going to be the setup. Because I already own this. The Woo-Wee makes sense if you already own a good amp. Now, the already owned amps I had were that one, which had a weird, I don't know what it was, but it just didn't like it. Sounds fine on speakers, sounds fine. Didn't like it through the Woo-Wee. The Jotunheim I may try again, because that would still be the most clean solution where it could still power headphones, or this, or output to something else, and that's great. Or you go with something totally crazy where you got like a massive power amp, where you set it and then you just adjust this. Oh. This is, by the way, Supreme Beings of Leisure, Under the Gun, from the Animatrix album. Okay, lower that. Switch to stacks. Put the 700s on again. Oh yeah, I'm buying these. See, that's low. That's loud. That's right there. That's as loud as I would ever have these stacks. And that's as loud as that's getting. So the fact that it will switch is a nice option. And at night, honestly, because when you have it set to stacks, that light comes on, it's running everything through the transformers. So you're not supposed to run any power amp with no speakers attached. Just, they don't like that. The little T-amps, they don't care as much. The headphone amps, they don't care as much. But speaker amps, big ones like this, are expecting a load. Like your mom. And you shouldn't just have those being fed signal and amplifying and then have nothing on the other end of them. But at night, shut off your amp, then shut off your speaker. Shut off this converter, and then you'll be good. That's good. I want to wield this thing. Oh God, so many things. Holy shit. Holy shit. And I built custom little baby speaker wires to go to it. Do I recommend this? Absolutely. If you've got a clean enough, lightweight enough amplifier. This is too much amp, but I've only got the gain set at half. That should be too much amp. And apparently something to do with the way it's built. It's not Class A, but it just didn't play nice with this. Get one, see what plays nice with it, and it can be better than at least the entry-level stacks amps, and damn close, if not as good as the higher-level stack stuff. And the TAC 101DA is my pick. Woo-wee. 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 Woo-wee.